Hey everybody, we are back. This is one that took a lot of people by surprise and that nobody really knows exactly what's up. Why did Elon Musk sell not only a bunch of shares, but the largest sale he has ever made in history? So let's dig into all the numbers behind this because it's kind of interesting. And let's also talk about exactly what it means for the stock, not only the stock of Tesla, but also Twitter and a whole bunch of other stuff. So the question is real simple. Why would somebody sell nearly 5% of their bag on a company where they said they would not sell any shares? They were done selling. A company that has a revenue pipeline going out 10 years. A company that has exploding margins. A company that has almost no debt. A company that has gigafactories opening up all over the place. And a company where he said he would probably do some share buybacks. So there's a lot of really, really interesting things. But let's go. Let's find out exactly what is going on. And yes, would you believe my key doesn't work? So everything else hopefully is working. So this is edutainment, of course. Never financial advice. So first of all, the biggest sale ever. Elon Musk sold 6.9 billion of shares, the first since April. And earlier, back in April, he said he was done selling. And this is what has a lot of people very upset. They feel a little bit betrayed. So let's talk about the actual sales. Here you can see the actual legal documents filed. August 7th, they came out and the sales were listed 5th, 6th, and 7th. Let's analyze what they look like on a chart. And it's interesting to see because you can actually pinpoint exactly where the sales happened by looking at points in history. So looking at year-to-date 2022, you can see the big dump in Tesla price after the Twitter acquisition was announced. That was it's about April 1st, I think it was. But the market was also going down. It was kind of at a peak. But after that, you saw the level where I said Elon sells. This is where the Tesla stock price really dumped hard. It was a very instantaneous sale. And you can see how it also transpired that it happened again. Now, then, coincidence or not, maybe it's part of the market rebounding, which it has done. We've gone back into full bull run mode about 6 weeks ago. He decided to pull out of the Twitter acquisition. I have it there as pulls out of T. And of course, Tesla price goes up, but it's probably unrelated. It's probably just because of other good news. And again, you see the big dip in stock price. Elon sells, which was good for many because we were, for those of us who missed the opportunity to buy at 650, and after seeing all this stuff go up and a 3-for-1 stock split, it was a good opportunity to kind of cover a couple of things and get back in. So let's look at the actual sales. These are the sales that I have listed that he's done since 9th of November 2021, 11th of November 2021, 25th of April, 26th of April, 27th of April. Big chunks there. But then the big kahuna, nearly 8 million shares. I have it at 7.924 million shares sold between the 5th and 7th of August. The average price calculated about $869. And the question is, where was the price now? And the value, $6.886 billion of value sold, way bigger than any of the previous sales. Now, back in November, he said he was selling. He asked Twitter or something, should he sell? He asked Twitter, should he sell? And it was actually the same time that Elon Musk sold. And it was also coincidentally the top of the market. So watch what the big asset allocators do. Second of all, the 25th to 27th of April sales, they were to fund the Twitter deal. And that's what a lot of this is about. So let's dig a little bit deeper just to show you what these things look like visually. So you have the November sales at the beginning, and then you have your April sales in the middle, and towards the right, you have the recent ones from August 2022. Yellow is on the left axis with the number of shares, yellow is on the right axis with the value from the proceeds from selling the shares, and red is on the left axis, the number of shares sold. A little bit of an eye chart, but let's look at what happened over the past 5 days where you can see exactly where it was happening. So here we have the last 5 days of trading, and the big 3 red arrows are the days in which he sold. And you can see those big massive dips, especially on day 1. Day 2, a little bit. There was a very quick rebound and then more selling, and a little bit of selling day 3. So that probably is all of Elon Musk. But we'll talk about where the stock went today later. So the Twitter story, let's go back in history a little bit again. April 4th, Elon became the largest shareholder in Twitter. he said he owned 9%. He bought some shares, 9.2% exactly. And that took the world a little bit by surprise. But what happened after that? He decided to buy the company outright for $54 billion. But he needed partners to help raise that amount of money. And here you have the list of some of the key partners that he is working with. So it's probably easier to show a visual of this. I like pie charts and line charts, but you can see some of the numbers. But if you look at this version, you will see the heavy ones. And it has some very interesting names on the list. You have Larry Ellison, committing about 15.9% of the fund. You have Binance in there, that's CZ. That's about 8%. Sequoia, one of the top Silicon Valley VCs, is in there. Fidelity Investments is in there, and so is Qatar Holdings. So a very interesting bunch. But Elon is a little bit concerned that maybe they won't all be around to be there for the final acquisition if the acquisition has to go through. So let's look at the broad strokes of the funding deal. Now, these numbers are not audited. These numbers are just my back of the napkin calculation. So please don't hold me to any of these. So the Twitter price deal, sorry, not 54 billion, 44 billion. Elon Musk already owns 9%. So that's about 3.96 billion. The balance due is 40 billion. He has equity commitments from that pie chart I just showed you of $5.2 billion. The balance less commitments is about $34.795 billion. The Elon Tesla sales since November 2021 is $21 billion. And he's left with a balance. To make up that $44 billion, he needs to come up with about $13.8 billion. And apparently he can raise that from borrowing against his existing Tesla stock. So it's about 31% needs to be borrowed. So he has no problem borrowing that amount, and he will get no margin calls unless, of course, the Tesla price falls to a fraction, three-tenths of what it is right now. So let's look at some more stuff. Let's talk about the lawsuit, because this is another angle that a lot of people aren't talking about today. So Elon Musk had a lawsuit filed against him to force him to go through with the acquisition. And Twitter argue that his conduct is a model of bad faith, and they want him to pay $54.20 a share. And in Delaware, there will be a 4-day trial beginning in October 2022. It's not too far away, 8 or 10 weeks. Elon countersued, and he said the monetizable DAUs, daily active users, is falsely inflated within Twitter. And the countersuit claims 1/3 of visible accounts are false or spam. And I can attest to a lot of this too. So bots are everywhere. So we'll see what happens. Now let's look at the Twitter price, because this is also another side of the coin that we need to look at. Here you can see when the acquisition was announced, Twitter shot from about $37, if I recall, straight up to nearly $52. And the purchase price is about $54. That's what typically happens. And it hovered there for about, I think, a month and a half, 4 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks. Then when things kind of fell down with the market, stock price of Twitter fell down as well. And then when Elon Musk pulled out, you can see that big dip in July. Obviously, Twitter tanked. And then the lawsuits were filed. And then you see the price going up again. So with all of this, we have to gauge exactly what the probability is of this deal actually going through. So why did Elon sell his Tesla stock? Real simple. It's to pay for Twitter in case the deal goes through, which is looking kind of more likely now based on the legal positioning within Delaware and the judge and everything else. Now, he also needs to make sure he has a buffer in case other investors pull out. And that prevents him from having to dump Tesla stock under duress if he did have to raise some additional money, if the other investors did pull out. So again, like the way he sold Bitcoin, for Tesla, it was prudent financial management just to manage risk. And now let's talk about a couple of other things. Is he done selling? So he did say he was done selling back in April 2022. And he just said, yes, he is done again. And he also said in the hopefully unlikely, which means he still wants Twitter, that Twitter forces this deal to close and some equity partners don't come through, it's important to avoid an emergency sale of Tesla stock. He also said not only is he done selling, but he would, if the deal does not go through, he will put the money back into Tesla stock, maybe part of a share buyback program or whatever else. So how likely is the Twitter deal? Well, you can see the $7 billion he just sold of stock means his deal with Twitter is more likely to close, according to Wedbush. And Musk said he sold the stock, again, to prevent emergency selling of his Tesla shares and in case the market went to hell or there was a black swan event or whatever else. And the situation has really dramatically changed going into the Delaware court this October. So the odds are now stacked against Elon Musk winning, but maybe they can negotiate a better price too. So recall as well, as I mentioned, why Tesla sold Bitcoin. Financial risk management, something we all need to learn from and do better. Stop loss in Bitcoin, robustify the balance sheet because the gigafactories are burning cash, and accounting reasons for impairment. He also sold at around 30,000 Bitcoin, so he didn't incur those big impairment charges that he could have. Let's jump to the conclusion real quick, everybody. So first of all, the percentage sold, just to put things in perspective so you know exactly how much it is. So the shares he had before the sale, again, these are from public sources. I don't know if they are taking into account the actual sale, but he had 170,887,358 shares. The shares sold 7.924 million. That was about 4.64% of his total bag. And the shares owned still after his sale, $163 million, call it. Also, he has stock options, which allow him to buy more Tesla shares at a fraction of the cost. Maybe he can use, if the Twitter deal doesn't go through, the cash that he has to buy and convert these stock options. That's the reason back in November he had to sell as well, to raise cash to buy stock. Now, the other conclusion that's important to look at is it is a prudent financial move. And I do believe, to Elon Musk, free speech is very, very important. He's not happy with some of the stuff that happens in the world today. And Elon hinted at the annual general meeting that he could easily fix Twitter and bring the roadmap forward 3 years and make it highly profitable. And also, love him or hate him, I believe his transparency and openness is to be applauded, even though he does get in trouble with the SEC on occasion for being too open. And I do believe there's a 60 to 80% chance Elon will own Twitter before the end of the year. Bots be damned. So the other key thing to note is Tesla stock impact. The Twitter, there's two options, two ways this can go. One, if the Twitter deal does go through, the funding is ready. The overhang is gone. The overhang is the kind of requirement to sell under duress. That's now gone. He has enough cash and enough margin to be able to fund it himself with a couple of key partners. And I know people like Larry Ellison will not let him down. Second of all, Twitter deal, if it doesn't go through, Elon promised to reinvest this back to Tesla, maybe convert some stock options, who knows. And either way, we'll be rocking and rolling to the 3-for-1 split, which is coming up real soon. And the Q3 and Q4 earnings I expect to be extremely good. Remember, 3-for-1 split is the 25th of August, coming up real soon. And the most important thing, remember the price at which he sold his stock? Well, Tesla stock price today, everybody thought it was going to tank. It actually went up $33 or nearly 4%, and it's up above his ASP, his average selling price, that he sold for. So he's already losing money by selling his stock. So again, good on you, Elon. So don't worry about too much about it. It's not a big deal. So I hope that addresses all of your questions. This does not change a thing for Tesla, but I do believe Twitter could be a little bit of a distraction for Elon Musk, but he's already thought about it long and hard. He has the whole roadmap. He knows exactly what needs to be done. He just needs to have a meeting, direct people to do it, and then off to the races, and hopefully a better world with more open and free speech. Thanks, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. See you soon.